All right, I got to start over. I started my last video and I squatted down and hit stop on my camera. So it is September 10th, Tuesday. I came out here to make a pop quiz and I forgot my list, so I'm winging it. And since I already did the entire video and realized that I did not hit the start button, I'm starting over. So this first thing that I'm going to show you on the nature trail is a certain type of cut that I talk about at our farm, where I will cut a tree almost completely through and push it over, okay? And it does many things. It opens up to let more sunlight into the forest, okay? It continues to grow when I do that because the cambium layer is still connected. Even though I cut through 3/4 of it, a little sliver of that cambium is still there. So the tree continues to grow. So there's an example of that on the edge of this nature trail. And the reason I do that, one reason is to let the deer be able to browse the leaves that are at the top of the tree. Now they're down on the forest floor. Number two, it opens up the canopy and lets sunlight in for other plants. But number three, it makes a living screen or fence. So if you look at this tree right here, it is still growing, still healthy, and it makes it so you can't see into the nature trails. So the animals feel safe. So question number one, and then we follow this tree in here, and you can see green all over it, but it's laying sideways, and it looks like it's been there for years and years. This one was not cut. Okay, this tree was cut, but next to it, it fell. But if you look carefully, the cambium layer, most of it is broken or rotted off. There is still a little bit, a sliver still living. What do you call that type of cut? All right, so that's question number one. While we're waiting for you to write that, I'm walking to my next zone. And I was trying to find a native species, a native tree leaf to pull, but I have a hard time finding a native species. Native means from here, always from this area. So question number two, I'll pause the video if you're behind. Question number two is going to be, what do you call these species that are growing all over our forest that are not native, okay? And it means they take over an area. And they don't have a whole lot of wildlife value, and they choke everything else out. People think they are great for cover, and they do create cover, okay? But when you squat down and look underneath these, there really is no cover at all. People overestimate the size of a deer, and really a deer, when they're eating and things, they're down on ground level, but even when they're standing upright, 4 feet maybe to the top of their head. Okay, so they aren't getting that much cover from predators, maybe from humans seeing them, but bobcats and coyotes can sneak up on them. So this is a certain species of tree. That is the second word for the answer. And I used my son Bryce as this, when we did an example, as this annoying type of tree that steals nutrients from everything and doesn't let anything else grow. You can see how shaded it is in here in the middle of the day. All right, and there's no other species on the ground except these junky species. So when all these big trees die, it'll be 200 years before we get more big trees because of these plants. So that is number two. List what the name of those species are. They are blank species. The next thing I'm going to do is find a native tree, and that is hard to do in here because it is such a closed canopy that they're hard to find. All I see here are those, I'm not going to say the answer. So here's one. So if we're on number three now, and number three, this is either vascular or non-vascular. We're classifying plants as vascular or non-vascular. This tree here has roots, okay? It has roots, and it has stems, okay? And it has leaves. Is that vascular or non-vascular? Okay, write that down. Vascular or non-vascular. While you're doing that, I see another type. This is actually an oak tree, okay? But I see another type of oak tree back here, and I'm gonna pull a leaf off of it for question number four. Okay, now question number four, go ahead and finish three. Question number four is, on this leaf, there are two different things on the top and on the bottom. All right. Inside this, for number 4, you're going to tell me, why is this leaf green? Okay, so you can use the one word that tells that, and we could go in and describe that process if we wanted. So I could take a few different answers. So number 4, what is it that makes this leaf green? All right. And then, give you a minute. Okay, we're going to go to number 5. Number 5, on the bottom of this leaf, it is a little bit different color, but on the bottom there are tiny little holes all over this leaf that allow this leaf to put off water, take in water, let off oxygen. Okay, many roles from these tiny little holes. What are they called? It is also a really bad joke that Mr. D likes to say that nobody else really thinks is funny. Okay, the holes on the bottom are called this. All right, that was number 5, I believe. Again, I can pause this, so if you're trying to keep ahead and watching this on your own, I'm pausing it as we go to write them down. Number 6, and I'm just aimlessly wandering around the woods, and I can't see my time, so hopefully class isn't over yet, because I'm exploring. I'm kind of like nature boy Ric Flair. Woo! Okay, so the top side of the leaf is also unique. On the top side of the leaf, there is a covering that protects the leaf. And I need you to write for number 6, I think, write down what that covering is called. Okay, on a leaf. There is a covering on a leaf. What is it called? Okay. So that was number 6. I'm going down in this valley. All right, that's one of our landforms from social studies. We also found that on our contour lines, but there's a big crossing right here for deer on the creek. All right, they're coming down here for a reason. And they're crossing right here. You can see where they go across. Okay, and then up the other side. And that stuff there is jewel weed, I believe. And they absolutely love to eat that stuff. I think that's jewel weed. I'm not climbing over there to look closer though. And then you can see where they go up over here. All right, what are we on? Number 7. All right, number 7. If I was down in this, oh, that's kind of a science question. This is if I could find in a low area that's always wet, these type of organisms or plants are, they only get their water from their environment around them. They have no roots, they have no stems and no leaves. Usually you could find one type of this growing on the north side of trees. I taught you that very important survival skill. So someday when you need to save your family's life in the wilderness, you remember Mr. D told you which side of the tree that grows on. But that stuff would be an example of this. All right, so what do you call that? Or give me an example. So it is, there are no roots, no leaves, no stems. You would find it near water because they can't pull up water from the ground. So what type of plant is that if we were classifying? Earlier you did one of those, and there are only 2 types. So if you got the first one right, this one ought to be easy. Okay? And I am working my way back up to head back to school. So I believe that is probably the end, if I can get out of here, of our pop quiz. And I have to be done playing in the woods for today. Any questions, concerns, animosities? Okay. Trying to think of a last minute question. Oh, I do see another example of a hinge cut I saw up here. Oh, I just told an answer. Darn it. It was where they're having a cross-country meet out here today. So I saw where someone tried to cut a tree, but they weren't able to get it cut all the way in half. Okay, spider on my face. Ugh, dang it, and the spider's crawling on me. All right, So right here, somebody didn't do it on purpose, I'm sure, but this is a prime example of a hinge cut. Okay, they cut the tree, but they couldn't get it, so they pushed it over. And a lot of people would think this tree will die, but this is the cambium layer, and it is still connected, and it will continue to live just like that. Okay, if you can see it, it's still living. All right, and that is an example of question number one. And if you're paying attention just now, I gave you an answer. All right, that is the end of a very unique pop quiz. Nature teacher Ric Flair signing out. Woo!